Hello, everybody, and welcome to Wrestleview Live number 123. My name is Roy Nemmer of
ABC.
ABC, as simple as that, as simple as ABC 123. My name is Roy Nemmer of Wrestleview.com. I'm joined by the one and only, the living legend himself, Mr. Mike Tedesco. We are here to discuss SummerSlam 2024. My, oh my, what a show.
I got to tell you, there is no stopping WWE right now. There is everything that they do just feels right. I know there's a lot of people online that, are sour grapes about certain people not being booked right now. And these are the quota people. Like, we have to have this many people being pushed and there has to be this many people of whatever. It's like, everybody will get a turn. There's a lot of diversity on the show tonight. I keep seeing this thing, it has to be, their version of diversity, but there was a lot of diversity on the show tonight, including, multiple Samoans involved in the main event. Like, come on now. A Latino world champion, Dominic Mysterio is dominating the scene. There's a lot of good stuff going on here. It's there's some people that just live to be bitter, I guess.
Yeah,
but this was a great show. If you're not looking at it just from I'm going to be angry for the sake of being angry, you'd be hard pressed to find really anything that was bad.
No. This was a great show. We spoke about it very, very briefly before we went on air. I said I love this show, top to bottom, very much enjoyed it. And to just kind of add to what you were saying, it's like people are just continuously unhappy. If they have a 5-match event, they complain that it's only 5 matches and there are no titles on the line. Then we get, 7 matches, pretty much every title's on the line and everyone's still complaining. It's people are going to complain for the sake of complaining. It's ridiculous.
Oh, for sure. But there's a lot of news on this coming out of this show tonight. Yes. It was Cleveland Brown Stadium. That's a big place, and I know there's a lot of pictures floating around of some tarped off sections on the hard cam side. But man, this crowd, the crowd that was there, the very meager 57,000 people that were there, they were loud at certain points of this evening. It's like typical open air show. Some of the stuff I was watching, I was like, God, this is so good. And the crowd's so quiet. And then I'm like, it's a stadium. You've been to stadium shows, right, Roy?
Yes.
I've been to my fair share of WrestleManias out in stadiums. I actually, I don't think I've seen anything else other than stadiums, like WrestleManias and stadiums. Everything else has just been in arenas. But when you're there, you feel like it's really loud. Then you watch it on TV or I read comments. I'm like, God, the crowd's so quiet during that match. I'm like, not in my section, but when it's open air, if not every section's in tune, it sounds pretty empty. So, there might have been a hot crowd there at certain points, but it just sometimes it doesn't come across well on TV. Those places are so hard to mic up, but it was this was a really, really good show. Everything. They just feel cool right now. You have Jelly Roll in the ring doing choke slams. You have MGK there. Logan Paul is intrinsically involved in this, and he is, for better or worse, a superstar.
They can do no wrong.
Yeah,
essentially, they can really do no wrong, and it kind of got me thinking. We were talking about this, with some of my friends. I was talking about it. As of next year, this becomes a 2-day or 2-night event. And I see Andrew in the chat. I just want to say a big hello to Andrew and everybody else that's in the chat. Let us know. But yeah, I mean, moving forward, this is going to be a 2-night event. It's going to become like a WrestleMania.
Actually, I think next year is the last 1-day show. It's 2026 that is going to be the 2-night event, which is they really started promoting that really early.
That's probably why I had it in my head that it was next year then, because that is very.
Yeah, because I forget where it is. I think it's gonna be in Minneapolis. They signed a deal where I think they're gonna get
the Rumble and WrestleMania as well.
Yes.
Yeah. I believe it's probably that. Minneapolis. Probably that. But
the one that they definitely announced, this one is absolutely happening right now. We got a date for it. Is we have SummerSlam is gonna be a 2-night event. Yeah, actually, I agree with Andrew Elder there. If you pull it up, it's I think the Rumble will be the next 2-night event. Maybe have like one Rumble a night,
Yeah,
and then
I would,
it kind of frees you up then to like have like a major title match on the Rumble where the men have their
of course.
Rumble one night and then the next night and then vice versa. You can have kind of like a more robust undercard, but the Royal Rumble is so good. I don't want to mess with it either.
I know it's a classic. It's a classic. And you know what will instantly turn this show into a classic? Do you know? Are you ready for this?
I don't know. I have no idea.
You don't know? Okay. Well,
I really don't. I can't see the waiting room or anything like that.
Let's bring her in, the first lady, I suppose, fair to say.
Oh,
first lady of Wrestleview.com, Victoria.
Hello. Can everyone hear me?
Yes,
yeah, we hear you fine.
Oh, okay, good. Hi, everybody. Hello.
Hi, Victoria. How are you? Long time.
Hi. Oh my gosh,
Wow.
This feels weird. I'm not gonna lie. It feels very bizarre right now.
I know.
Wow.
Last time we had you on this show, you only had 2 kids.
I only had 2 kids. That's right.
You only had 2 kids. That's how is that going?
It's going. They're all currently asleep right now. Knock on wood. Every wood that we can find. Yeah, this is very weird. Like this is actually very, very it's a good weird though. It's a very, very good weird.
Yes.
Mama Bear and Wrestleview.
That's a good one.
Goose. The goose is loose, man.
Goose is loose.
Yes, we were just discussing SummerSlam. I enjoyed it. Mike enjoyed it. Quick thoughts, Victoria, before we really dive into everything. What did you think?
I enjoyed it. Yeah, I mean, we'll talk more about it as we go along with the the individual matches, like as we always do, right? But I think overall it was great. It was good. It was good. I don't really have any like too many complaints about it, which is good.
Yeah,
because I haven't, I haven't been on since the shift changes and establishments and stuff like that. Like really, truly changes. Like there were things that were kind of like in the works and discussions, but until like Triple H actually was fully in charge, like I haven't been on. So I've been enjoying the product. Let's just put it that way.
That's good. And tonight we had the Miz that was hosting, even though we didn't get to see too much of him.
No.
Yeah, he was a host in like name only.
He was a host, so let's put it that way. Yes. He was good for the jelly roll, the whole jelly roll segment. But yeah.
I love that guy Jelly Roll, by the way. Actually,
he's awesome.
I have to say, when they do like live performances at wrestling events, like Victoria had to remind me, like when we went to like WrestleMania 29, who was there again? Was it the guy who's in trouble now? Was it Pete?
Oh, Diddy. Yeah, it was Diddy. Yep.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Like I remember like when Diddy came, and like I guess Diddy's like some kind, or he was like some kind of like heavy duty star. I had no interest. I think that was my restroom break, and it felt like like when I when I was going to the restroom, like everybody was also going to the restroom at the same time. Like usually live performances at wrestling events never go over well unless it's like Motorhead doing Triple H's theme. I miss Lemmy. I wish that could still happen. Like I remember Limp Bizkit at WrestleMania 19
for the
entrance was awesome. But generally, like music acts at wrestling events never really go over well. But Jelly Roll, he did the national anthem, or he did God Bless America, whatever. And then, he performed that, that song Liar. I thought that was a pretty good performance. And I really liked that they were like doing the video package, like, flashing on the screen and stuff like that. The production value, the things that they're trying, you can kind of just see how stagnant the product was, not just creatively, but even visually, with Kevin Dunn not really wanting to experiment with anything. In fact, I was on Twitter or X. It's hard to say X, whatever. A couple days ago, and they actually showed like when Kevin Dunn experimented. Like that shot they do where they walk around the ring and just kind of like that one track shot. I love that shot. They actually did it once with John Cena and AJ Styles, and then Kevin Dunn was like, "Nope, back to just hard camera shots. That's it." Just the visuals and the risks that they're taking with like following people for their entrances and things like that. I know I say that like on every show now, but like it just really, it feels like such a cool product just visually. And
Yeah.
then you watch the show and it's just that much better. And you have like real legitimate mainstream stars on the show. You know, Jelly Roll is like hitting choke slams,
He's
and
huge.
five knuckle shuffles, and everybody just seems excited to be there.
He's huge. He's a huge star. And honestly,
He's huge.
Okay, yes, he's huge as an individual too, but no, but it's like cool to be a wrestling fan now again. I feel like if you say like, oh, I watch WWE, people aren't like what do you mean you watch WWE? And they look at you weird. Now I feel like people, it is getting that mainstream again, where people know a little. If you're not even watching the product like all the time, you still know like relatively what's going on. The big stars, who's going to be making appearances, things like that. Some of the stuff also hits like media outlets now and makes stories.
Oh, yeah.
Which is cool. And I think that's the huge difference now, is where you can get excited about things again and watching the shows again and having, this new era and this whole new experience and getting like more fans now. Because I'm sure people will just watch even just like to look at Jelly Roll and be like, oh, what the hell is he going to do tonight on the
absolutely.
show?
I mean, like, when they had The Rock, like that brought so many people, like lapsed fans and new fans. And I remember being on TikTok, like right around WrestleMania season. It was like right after WrestleMania, actually. And it was like this girl, she like her boyfriend made her like watch wrestling. And she's like, wait a minute, like this guy Cody Rhodes and The Rock was there. And she goes, then I started like kind of researching it, and they had this guy come out in the main event. His name's The Undertaker. And I started looking up his story and this thing with his brother Kane. And she's like, am I falling in love with wrestling? Because I really want to like watch all this stuff now. And that's the thing. They're pulling people into it because they're striking while the iron's hot. It's not like, again, I hate to bring up his name every single time, but it's not like Vince at war with the fans. Like, everybody, like everything is going exactly how you'd want it to go. And whoever's hot right now is getting a chance, even if they don't expect it, even if it doesn't like work. They'll figure something out.
They have so many stars that are over right now that they can't fit all of them on a pay-per-view or on a premium live event.
Right. Look at SmackDown last night.
Massive.
I thought for sure that tag match would be like the tag title match would just be a match on SummerSlam. I mean, it's actually, if you think about it too, it's actually much smarter to have the Bloodline win the tag titles on SmackDown. More people will watch SmackDown than I think will see SummerSlam live. You know what I mean? So like that actually makes a lot of sense. Even like, on Raw, on the Raw side, one of the big debuts in the last, couple months has been the Wyatt Six. And they're having their first match on Raw this Monday. And I was like, they're having it on Raw instead of SummerSlam. But it's like, if you put it on SummerSlam, it's just one of the matches that happens, on the show. It's, but like if you put it on a Raw, you could build the whole show around that. Whereas like you wouldn't build all of SummerSlam around the debut of the Wyatt Sixes. But here on Raw, you certainly can. It's just very good booking.
I want to ask you guys a question before we go into a deep dive of the matches. What do you think of the change of when SummerSlam is? Good, bad, mixed?
You mean August?
Yeah, like having it, like this time of year, like this, like the beginning of August, end of July, as opposed to, previous years. Now it's been like the end of August.
I'm used to it being in August, to be honest. Like just kind of being a kid and knowing, okay, well, I'm going back to school now, but there's SummerSlam right before. So I've gotten used to it now, I guess, last 2 or 3 years. And it's especially weird considering there's, Bash in Berlin at the end of August. But, I've always associated SummerSlam being in August. So the fact that it was in August, technically August 3rd, I'm happy with that. I'm happy with that.
Mike?
Yeah, I mean, I like it. Like sometimes SummerSlam would ultimately wind up being a bummer because it's like, oh, the summer's over now. But it's like, if it's the biggest party of the summer, it should take place like in the middle of the summer, not like when it's coming to an end. So to me, it feels good. I like it around this time of the year.
Yeah.
Because hey, we're Victoria and I are going on vacation starting next week now. So it's like our summer is like, SummerSlam's kind of like the start of our summer now.
Just getting started.
Woohoo!
That's it.
Yeah.
So let's get into this. Look, I think we got to start off with the big news here. We got to go right to the main event. We had a Bloodline rules match with Cody Rhodes defending the undisputed WWE Championship against Solo Sikoa. A lot of stuff happening in this. A really, really huge return. Arn Anderson's back with WWE. I can't believe it.
That's massive.
And also, I can't believe it. And when I saw Arn Anderson backstage, you wonder, what he's going to be doing out there. He might pull something on Cody Rhodes, but he kept it clean. And and also Roman Reigns is back for the first time since the main event of WrestleMania. A lot of stuff happening in this. It actually seemed like they, with this Bloodline rules match, that they were trying to recreate the magic of, that main event of WrestleMania. Where they have a whole bunch of returns and stuff like that. Let's talk. How did you feel that they did with this? Because how did you feel about the match in general? And I felt like everything was just kind of building up to the Roman Reigns return. We'll go with Roy first.
No, I was gonna say I'll let Victoria go with that one.
Oh yeah, let's go ahead. No, you go ahead, Roy.
Okay. I'm so rude.
No, look, this was funny enough, this was my least favorite match on the card. Not going into the show. I mean, after the show, just in terms of the actual wrestling, putting aside Roman Reigns' return.
Mm-hmm.
I've never been a big fan of Solo Sikoa in the ring, even less so ever since he made the jump over to the main roster. I thought Cody did a tremendous job in this match, trying to really get the best out of Solo. Jacob Fatu potentially injured. We're not sure. Triple H kind of commented on that afterwards, saying he's a little bit banged up. But the whole thing, this was all about Roman Reigns returning. Yeah. The pop, the ovation when he came out was massive, especially for a stadium show where, you spoke about it earlier, Mike, sometimes the audio doesn't come off that strongly. The Bloodline, we're probably a year away easily before this gets finished. We have this, we have Solo, we have Jacob Fatu. The Rock's going to come back, potentially another War Games thing. I'm very, very intrigued. This is going to be a babyface Roman Reigns. Is he going to have Paul Heyman on his side? Is Brock Lesnar going to come back? Is he going to side with Cody? What's going to happen? I don't know. To quote the great Victoria Tedesco, it's a great time. Wrestling is cool again. It's a great time to be a wrestling fan.
Cool. Roy, so it's funny that you said about the match, the match itself that was probably your least favorite of the night. So I kind of get what you mean. I don't totally I don't think it was my least favorite match of the night. However, I will say this though, although it was very good, I think for me personally, just as the majority of the audience, crowd, whoever was watching, viewers, I think it was all about Roman's coming back. Roman's coming back. Roman's coming back. I think everybody was just so amped and so fired up and expecting it. And even though we were all kind of expecting it, it still was just huge and massive and exciting. So I feel like everybody was just so eager for that to happen. Although good wrestling took place and it said overall was a good match, I still feel like everybody was so focused on Roman Reigns. And then once Roman Reigns came out, I was like, oh, hell no. I don't need to be worried about it. Anything that happened 20 minutes before that didn't even matter. It was all about Roman, which is fine, which is cool. And it was definitely a good way to end the show too. Because there's so many questions, like you said. There's just so many things are we getting a face Roman? Are we getting this? Are we getting that? What is going to be the outcome? And even when he came out, is he going to attack Cody or is he going to attack Sikoa? We didn't know. So I feel like that was the biggest. It was the biggest thing that came out of the night, and that was the biggest reason why was because of Roman's return, of why it was such a huge ordeal.
Yeah, I actually the one thing I really liked about Roman Reigns' return, the pop was of superstar upper echelon quality. Roman Reigns is that's right up there with John Cena, Steve Austin, that kind of popped when he made that big return. Even though people knew it was happening, they were just so happy that like it's going to get paid off. He gets to the ring. Actually, the thing I like the most is that there was like no, like, once he got in the ring, it wasn't like, oh, is he going to attack Cody Rhodes? He just punched Soul Skull right in the face and hit him with a spear. And then he did look at Rhodes. He doesn't like Rhodes. I mean, like they made that pretty clear. But he left the ring. So there's a lot of like ambiguity as to like, where Reigns stands. Yes, he's definitely not a big fan of Solo Sikoa. He had the OTC shirt, original tribal chief, on. So like that's obviously a thing. But it's not like, he might be like a really strong tweener in this, where like,
yes,
he's definitely against the bloodline, but he's also not with Cody Rhodes. And, even on like the post show, they were kind of talking about that, like WWE was already setting that story that like, he can wear that OTC shirt, original tribal chief, but he's got nobody following him.
Yes.
He lost his bloodline. He's a man on his own island, which then makes you think, like maybe that's why they didn't bring back Paul Heyman. And I thought for sure we're gonna get Paul Heyman also coming back. Jimmy Uso, like basically anybody that was injured by like the bloodline or anybody that was tied into it, maybe even like a Jey Uso run-in. None of that happened. The only run-ins that happened were like the people that were taken out recently, like Kevin Owens, Randy Orton, things like that. But and I also wonder if they canceled one because that Jacob Fatu bump was brutal.
Maybe I'm thinking about Jey Uso, maybe.
Perhaps, yeah. But like this allows, for these guys now to like kind of come back sporadically and these are guys, other than Paul Heyman, like, like a Jey Uso, a Jimmy Uso that were screwed by Roman. They were all, kind of done dirty by him, but will they put things aside and, because they are blood, will blood prevail or will, bitter jealousies and hatred, prevail? Like that's the good story. And they can get months out of that. They can get that to War Games, maybe like Survivor Series sees The Rock come back and then maybe The Rock turns on him because maybe he is like, I've seen this before, but, Andrew Elder had it in the chat too, that perhaps, The Rock is going to be the one that's been like, because the question is, how it, Tongaloa and and Tama Tonga and Jacob Fatu, like, I loved when Paul Heyman put them over as like, they're so dangerous. Like I wouldn't even have them in ECW and blah, blah, blah. How did they get signed? Like who maneuvered the money? And there's only one person in the bloodlines on the board of directors, so like maybe that gets revealed there, but there's so much they can do, again, when they said that they were in the third inning last year at WrestleMania, I'm like, third inning? Geez, I really feel like we're at like the eighth or ninth inning now. Like, how much longer can this bloodline thing go? You got the Rock Roman Reigns match. You probably have a return match with Roman Reigns and Cody Rhodes again. You have the Rock versus Cody Rhodes as well. And you can't forget about like, what these guys are doing, the Gorillas of Destiny and Jacob Fatu. Hopefully he's okay. And Solo Sikoa. There's so many layers. Like I feel like this is like the sixth inning.
So many layers because you can't discount now Cody Rhodes. You can't just be like, oh well, just because he didn't attack him tonight doesn't mean that he doesn't have he just left him alone tonight, gave him kind of a look, but doesn't mean that he's done with him. So that certainly could go further. And they made it even like, was it in the post show too? They made the joke about how there's like so many family members that like this could continue on forever. Like they just all come out of the woodwork and it's like, wait a minute. Wait, there's another one like in this family that is in WWE and like can get involved. So it's like, it can continue, but it's not going to be a bad continuation though. There's so many layers to it where it's not going to become stale of like, all right, come on, like this bloodline crap again. We can't be continuing on with this. There are so many different components to all this where it can maintain interest for people.
Yeah. I'm interested in seeing as well everything that you guys just spoke about. How are they going to be able to balance out that with, let's say, Cody Rhodes being champion? Because you don't want Cody Rhodes being champion being overshadowed by Roman Reigns and everything going on with the bloodline. Because you would like to think, right? I mean, at least I would like to think that Cody might get away from the bloodline at one point. It's not just going to be Cody and Roman feuding for the next 10 years. So how are they going to find the balance? What's going to happen? Andrew's mentioning Hikola is on his way as well. I believe he's the one that's like 7 foot tall or something.
There you go.
It's never gonna end. It's never gonna end.
Never gonna end. There are babies being born right now that will be involved in this. Yeah. So it's
Anthony's saying we're getting Cody and Randy and the Bloodline Civil War. That's going to be interesting.
Oh, for sure.
Cody, Randy is going to be a thing for sure, definitely, and then maybe at War Games.
Oh, definitely. I mean, they have about 2 years worth of stuff, just
easily,
just from what they have right now. And again, like they're not, Goosey's mishearing what I'm saying here is that they're going to do a Cody versus Roman rematch. I didn't say it's going to be tomorrow or in the next month. I mean, like at some point, maybe next year's SummerSlam or something like that, or whatever it is.
Let's not.
It's definitely happening now.
It's definitely happening, and let's not forget. I mean, we mentioned Paul Heyman earlier. We haven't even tapped into CM Punk with Paul Heyman and having that connection or Brock Lesnar, because Punk is in another feud for the next 5 years with Seth Rollins and Drew McIntyre. They have so much going on for them. It's incredible how much storylines they have for easily the next year. Easily.
So much content. It really is. Yeah. And that's why when you guys were mentioning before, the both of you, about how like they kind of have to rotate all of this, because you can't throw it all into one show, and you can't even throw it on until like even months at a time. You have to rotate it because there's just so much, and they all deserve like equal time and attention. But if you throw everything at once, then it's not going to be as memorable, meaningful, special. You want to devote that time to each storyline here, and but there's just so many things that you could do. It's crazy.
do you throw John Cena in there before he leaves as well?
Do you throw a John Cena in there? Mike and I were talking about this. Well, Mike and I were talking about this before, actually, during the show. It's like, John Cena gets his pick of how he wants to, leave the WWE. He gets his pick of who he wants to face and whatever. So it's like, what is he going to do? He can easily throw himself into the mix of all this at the end of the day.
It would fit.
He would do great, no matter what. Like, like him being part of it would just be strong.
Hi, hey,
Daniel Shell's in the chat room. Daniel Shell was at SummerSlam tonight.
You were.
He was.
Yeah, he
Come
was.
on, Daniel.
Let us know how it was, Daniel. How was the crowd? Were they lively at the stadium?
How was it? Did you have a good time?
Give him a few seconds.
Oh, I know. It's delayed.
He types with one finger.
Stop it.
Andrew's mentioning John Cena versus Gunther for the world title. That could be another thing.
I don't know if John Cena's agent will allow him to get his chest chopped up by Gunther.
It's true. If Lesnar comes back, do we get that Lesnar-Gunther match that we were maybe supposed to get? Lesnar-Dominic Mysterio? I don't know. There's so much.
Man. So much. The possibilities.
I think so. But, man, it's just a great time.
Cleveland was fun. There we go. It was fun.
It's a great time to be a wrestler.
Those 3 words were never said in the same sentence before.
I think SummerSlam is the best thing that's happened in the Cleveland Brown Stadium in ever.
Wait, I like Ohio. When we went to Ohio, Mike, it was good. It was fun.
Yeah, but their sports teams stink. Well, I mean, not all of them, but definitely the football team is terrible. I think Pat McAfee was like, that's why they're called the Browns.
I had a good time in Cleveland.
Yeah, I did too when we went to the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame.
Yeah, it was a good time.
I know.
How was it at the toilet? Oh, come on, Andrew.
Oh, Andrew.
It's the Browns. It's the Browns.
But
I get it.
I just got it.
Yeah, there you go.
I was a little slow on that. I'm sorry.
All right, let's take it from the top of this show. Wow, 3:33. Daniel's loaded.
We had that one annoying guy who was so passionate. Yeah.
That's usually me at the shows. Remember that one?
It is usually Mike at the shows.
we almost got into a fight with somebody who was like, they were so angry that I was like being so loud.
Wait, was that Miami?
Yeah, it was Miami.
Oh,
they shoved that guy, and then the guy turned around. He's like, walking
oh man, that was
Miami's special. Miami's special in every.
Oh yeah, well, Florida's special. So.
Yes. That's why I love it, to be fair.
Yeah, no, I love Florida.
I love Florida.
It's a special Florida man. Florida man's the best.
Yes, yes.
Right.
All right. Anywho, so
all right, let's take it from the top here. Let's go right into like the other big news of the night is that pretty much the Judgment Day is no more.
oh
Yeah.
Well, I mean, it might be that. I mean, I don't know. Like we'll discuss this, but for right now, let's talk about Liv Morgan versus Rhea Ripley. Rhea Ripley's first match, televised at least, since defeating Becky Lynch at WrestleMania Night 1 in the opening match. Again, Rhea Ripley's put in a big position in her first match back to open up another show and set the pace for that show. It's a huge spot. I think the opening match is such a gigantic spot for any wrestler to be in. It's really a spot that's filled with honor because you're trusted to get the show started off on the right foot. If you have a dud of a match, it's kind of a you're working from behind for the rest of the evening trying to get the crowd into it. So I thought this was I thought this was actually a pretty good match with a big twist finish at the end. Initially it was like Dom saved her from getting disqualified, but then it's like, oh no, he saved Liv. He didn't really save Rhea from getting disqualified. He saved Liv from getting hit with the chair. And then he turned on Rhea and kissed Liv, and the whole, love triangle has totally shifted.
Whew.
Well, let's start with Victoria. She likes a good love story.
I do.
What did you think of all this?
It was a good drama fest for me. I'll tell you that. No, I thought I think you're right, Mike. It's very important where you put a match and if it's going to set the tone for the night. And I think they definitely did what they had to do in setting the pace for the night. And I had a feeling just because I'm like, okay, if they're first, they're definitely Dom is going to be turning on Rhea. I was like, there's no doubt about it. But even though I felt the being a predictable outcome, I still enjoyed it. And I thought it was very, very clever with the whole chair thing about the disqualification, letting him think like, oh, okay. Oh, no, he's turning on. Oh, no. He's looking out for her. And then like he double crossed her towards the end and everything else. I'm questioning though. I know it was obviously planned in Dominic's mind, but I don't know if Liv was just playing it up. Like she looked like, oh, like you're for me, like you want, like she looked
surprised.
A little like surprised. Yeah, exactly, surprised. So I don't know if again that's just like her acting surprised, or if it was more or less like she was in on it and they were just like doing the whole thing. We'll find out more. But again, that's why it's so intriguing because it left off with questions and you want to know more. This hands down though is one of the reasons why storyline is so important. Because if they didn't develop this for a long time and it was just like a straight match and, like there's a turn and involved and everything else, but people were heavily invested into this storyline and because of like how it was going to go and the back and forth with everything with him, like the tease with Liv and then he told her off and the whole thing and then Rhea coming back. It's just got so many layers. Again, I'm using that word layers tonight a lot, but that's why I thoroughly enjoyed this because I'm like, there's a good storyline behind this and very, very interested towards the ending of what was going to happen. And I was right in what happened, but I wasn't right about how it was going to happen, which is good. I like that level of surprise. I enjoyed it. I really did. I thought it set a good tone for the night.
Yeah, I agree with Victoria. I did not, going into the match, I was not expecting to maybe like the match. But I was pleasantly surprised. I initially had, up until early this morning, I had Rhea Ripley winning. And then I'm like, no, I could totally see Dominic just turning on Rhea and getting absolute nuclear heat, which is what happened afterwards. I don't know, like you said, Victoria, I don't know if it was Liv's acting or not about her being surprised. I'm not sure. She looked surprised to me. Like she didn't know Dominic was gonna side with her. I thought it was a good match. I like what they did playing with Rhea's shoulder. That injury and her popping it back in. Even though when she did it 2 or 3 times, made it a little less believable. But initially, that first time off the table, I liked it. The first Oblivion where Rhea kicked out, I was surprised. I'm like, okay, wait a minute, she might actually win this. But then they had the ending that they did, which. Again, pleasantly surprised. I enjoyed this, and like you said, Victoria, it set the tone for the rest of the match, for the rest of the night.
You know what's interesting too? So talking about new regime. So when I got to be honest with you, there was quite a bit of time I was not watching because obviously, like, having children and giving birth and everything else like that, took precedence. But when I started watching again, and I was like, wow, Liv Morgan, like I did not expect that. I did not expect her to be, part of like a main storyline with the women's division whatsoever. Just judging by like, a few years ago and even like really a few months ago and everything. But coming back into it, I was like, wow, like she's actually pretty good. Like again, like with the whole storyline and stuff like that. Just wasn't expecting that from her. And it is amazing what new leadership can bring out in people.
Oh, she looks very confident. I don't
Yeah.
know what Mike thinks about it, but she looks very, very confident now.
She's awesome.
She's
Both
great.
of them.
She's
Both
great.
of them are just
Rhea,
totally
I always
awesome.
thought was fantastic.
But Liv Morgan really has grown by leaps and
She
bounds.
has
in this storyline. Like you look at how she was used in the previous regime versus like this one. Like they're somehow they find that like piece of somebody that you could exploit and use
Yeah.
to your full potential. She's kind of got like that like kind of conniving look.
Yes.
And they have her as like this like master manipulator.
Mm-hmm.
And it's paying off dividends huge. Like her career is moved on to like another level. Rhea was great in this.
Yeah.
I loved that spot with the shoulder because that took the crowd by surprise. It kind of reminded me of like Mel Gibson and like Lethal Weapon, like when his shoulder popped out, then he'd be like slamming it into poles and stuff like that. But the fact that initially, like when she went into the commentary table, I was like, oh my God, did Dom just pull her into the commentary table? I thought he was turning like right then and there. But no, she was like, popping back in place. That was such a great spot. She looked like such a badass by doing that, which, then goes into like, plays into the finish later on that like she is just so dominant that it had that this big turn, shows like, like her only weakness is in the person that she loves or whatever
Mm-hmm.
that's her biggest weakness, and it cost her. Other than that, like they said, she hadn't lost in like 26 months, and the last time she lost a singles match was to Liv Morgan. I thought that was a great stat as well.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, like, look, the match itself was very, very good, and that and what Roy said about that near fall with the Oblivion, I was like,
Yeah.
oh, man. Like,
Mm-hmm.
I came out of my seat for that one too. That, and that's when the crowd really, really started picking up there. They were like really super into it after that. But the stuff with like, like Victoria talks about like the things that they did about like, building things up as, like really well as the weeks have gone on. Like they put a lot of, energy into this, teasing like, while Rhea was away, Dom's not wanting to help Liv, and then he inadvertently helps her win the title. And then it all kind of culminates in this thing where it's like he reunites with Rhea, totally shuns Liv. And then they had like this like sub storyline that played out later in the evening that, we knew that Finn Balor was turning, but we didn't know how and why and on whom. And it seemed like Finn was going to be the one that was allowing Liv Morgan into the clubhouse, and I thought for sure, I was like, I kept waiting for Finn Balor to come out in this match. So when, if they were able to work that storyline well enough where it was like, I was kind of waiting for Finn Balor to make an appearance. So when Dom ultimately wound up being the guy to turn, I was like, nice, you got me on that one.
Yeah.
That was some fun storytelling, because sometimes, like I think one of the criticisms of the product lately is that, I think people are so used to like, Vince and the old regime, like, pulling out a swerve, even if the swerve totally didn't make any sense and totally, it's like there's only like one or two ways that this storyline could go and still make sense, and then Vince would take it at like this direction. And like totally destroy the storyline. Now it makes absolutely no sense, and I'm totally uninterested. But it was a swerve, right? Like I didn't see that coming, but then it kills the storyline. Some of the criticism has been like, I kind of figured that would happen. That's exactly what happened, and it's like that's not a bad thing.
I don't think it's a bad thing at all.
No,
if a story kind of works out the way you think is going to work out, that's generally how stories are supposed to be. Now they save their bigger, onions, I guess, for, like with more layers. Like Victoria loves that word layers.
I love layers. Layers is the theme of tonight.
Lots of layers. Lots of layers. They saved like all their layers for tonight's show. Where it's like, oh, I didn't see that coming. I wasn't expecting that. And then like Finn Balor didn't come out. And I was like, well, I guess that was just them trying to swerve us into thinking Dom wouldn't do it. And then Finn and Priest made up, and then Priest goes out. But then when Finn Balor came out during Priest match, I was like, oh, he's turning too. Okay, got it. But it was good. Like I wasn't. There was some things I wasn't expecting, and I like that.
Who
good
cares?
Match.
Though I agree though. Who cares if you know what's going to happen? Like I said, when they placed Rhea and lived in the beginning of the first match, I'm like, definitely something's going to happen. There's no doubt about it. But I'm like, who cares if I knew it was Dom or not, or it was Finn or whatever? It's like it's still fun at the end of the day, and if it's still it's still intriguing, and people were still definitely loving it.
Yeah, exactly. And it's it delivered. The match itself delivered. Yes. The storyline going into it delivered. The aftermath delivered. It all worked. Predictable, maybe to a certain extent, like you said. But if everything works, what's the problem?
And the best part about it was Michael Cole and Pat McAfee going.
Oh, they're commentating or during that. Yeah,
it was so good.
They called him a trendsetter, like a fashion trendsetter during it, and like,
then at the end he's like, he's a scumbag and this and that. It's like so good.
He called him a son of a bitch, and I'm like, wait a minute, we know who his parents are.
Yeah, that's true. It's like, wow, you said that about Angie Mysterio. Come on now,
poor Angie.
Come on. So good stuff. Then our next match is this is one that totally made a lot of sense, and again, like when we had our Money in the Bank post show, Roy, everybody was like, "Oh, I can't believe they beat Bron Breakker." It's like, yeah, we'll save it for like SummerSlam, because you can argue that like he made a rookie mistake, and now it's like you got a little extra life out of that. And yeah, Bron Breakker was like totally locked into this match. This was a quick. I was really surprised at how quick this match was. Bron Breakker becoming the new Intercontinental Champion. Mm-hmm. Roy, what'd you think?
All for this. I was one of those people that initially on the post show during Money in the Bank, I said, you know what? I don't get it.
Crybaby. You're a crybaby.
What a typical crybaby, Some people, man, I'm telling you. But then, as we were talking, and Mikey made me realize, and I mentioned it live then, okay, no, you know what? It makes sense. And tonight, this made sense. It was very short. I think it was the shortest match on the show. Bron just dominated him. Absolute domination. And I am super excited to see what Bron Breakker can do as Intercontinental Champion. Is he ready? I think so. I hope so. He might just lack a little bit on the mic. But as for the match itself, look, they're strapping the rocket on him. And they're doing it in a way that this could either go very, very, very well or very, very, very bad. And I don't see this going very, very, very bad at all. This was, I like this.
And to your point too, this match only went 5 minutes and 40 seconds. The second shortest match was LA Knight versus Logan Paul, which went 12 minutes. It's the only match in single digits here.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Short, but to the point.
Yeah.
Oh, it was perfect. It wasn't a squash. Like they made Sami Zayn look scrappy, but and like this was the most effective way to do this too. And again, like Sami Zayn ended the longest Intercontinental Championship reign of all time. So it's like he had a good run, but the important thing is who's going to get the rub from beating the guy who beat the longest reign. And this is the perfect time to do it. This definitely is the first of many big milestone moments in Bron Breakker's career. Victoria, what did you think of Bron Breakker's win tonight, and where do you see Bron Breakker going on the main roster here?
So to the point that you both made about how it was quick, but it was effective, and I like that. I don't think we need to. Why drag it out if it doesn't have to? If it's quick and it's going to work, let it work and let it be. I think this is a good, Mike, you mentioned this in your tweet. Sorry, what is it still called a tweet, or what is it called?
I think it's a post. I think
a post. Okay. Yeah, so you mentioned in your
still
post.
Call it a tweet.
Yeah. Whatever.
Shut up, Elon.
But I think it's good. I think this is a great start to the career, and I think both parties look good coming out of this. So it's not like it made Sami Zayn look weak by any stretch of the imagination either, even though it was a quick match. So I feel like this can only be a good thing. And again, going back to like this whole regime talk type thing, it's going to be fine just because of who we're dealing with now, like who's going to be running the show. So I expect nothing but up from here, Bron Breakker. Can you hear me?
Yeah,
I hear you fine. I hear you fine. I'm digesting what you said.
I was like, Bueller.
No, and you mentioned just now in terms of both of them coming off strong, whether it's Braun or Sami Zayn, it made me think for a second. My mind wandered off into War Games, and if we get like Bloodline versus Bloodline, does Sami Zayn get thrown back into the Bloodline thing there? I don't know.
I like your thinking, Roy.
Yeah,
I like it.
That could be something. Yeah, because where does Sami Zayn go from here?
Yeah. He's really gonna be like, please let me back in.
No, we'll have some matches though for Braun Dragunov, probably the next one. I think we get another rematch between them.
Yeah, I think it'll be good.
Oh yeah, that would be great. That Ilya Dragunov, I love that guy. They had such a good match on Raw. Oh,
yeah, oh,
ridiculous. But this was the first of ultimately 4 title changes on this show, and WWE has been very careful about doing title changes at all. It's like they've been giving really long reigns, even for like secondary titles and even ranks under secondary. Tag titles have had extended runs and things like that. But so to have 4 title changes, when that's been kind of like a rarity over the last few years, that like this felt very newsworthy. And Bron Breakker getting that Intercontinental title when this is only the second time it's changed hands since 2022. That's a pretty big deal.
That is big.
It's true, yeah.
So the next match is LA Knight having finally a culmination to what's been a very extended tryout run here. Like, well, let's just see, he's very over, that was such a Vince thing. It's like, oh, well, he's over. I hope, I hope he, or like he gets a big pop and and Vince's famous quote from Steve Austin. I still remember the story. It was Steve Austin was at Madison Square Garden. I think like Steve Blackman, was like in the opening match or something like that. Remember Steve Blackman? I love that guy. He was just creepy. And
no charisma, but so good.
No charisma at all. And Steve would like watch the matches at a house show by the curtain and kind of just like observe what's going on. I guess he wanted to just stay on top of like what was happening, with all the people on the roster. I think it was like Steve Blackman came out and got like a massive pop, and Vince was like right there, and Austin just goes, "Wow, like, did you hear that pop, Vince?" And Vince is like, "Yeah, I hope he can get over." Like, it's like, oh, like that's so Vince. But it's like LA Knight was getting these big pops starting last year, really, like all the way back to January of last year when he was facing Bray Wyatt. That's when it started. It was like, this is getting pretty undeniable. And I thought that he was dead after that Mountain Dew blackout match, but he did kind of navigate that water. He survived that. And then it was like Money in the Bank's coming up. It's like, everybody's like so into LA Knight. And again, Vince was in charge already by this point. So they teased it, but didn't give it to you. He wanted to test him out. See, is he going to stay over? So we're going to not have him win at Money in the Bank. Okay. And Vince probably thought that's the end of it. Then he goes to SummerSlam. They went, all right, let's give him the Slim Jim Battle Royal. We'll give him something and give him a win. See, sometimes if he gets a significant victory, then the crowd kind of tapers off. Never happened. Now it's like we're in the fall. They have him pair up with John Cena. John Cena endorses the guy. He has a good showing at the Rumble. He has a good showing at WrestleMania against AJ Styles. It's undeniable. Now we are over. We're about a year and a half into LA Knight being one of the more over guys on SmackDown. Now they finally crown him. He finally gets a big moment. And like, winning the United States title is like, yeah, it's a great thing. It's a great thing. But winning it from Logan Paul, that's a pretty big statement. I know Victoria loves Logan Paul so
much. Oh my God. So I was just agreeing with Andrew on like how he wrote, I hate Logan Paul as a person, sleazy, but that dude is so athletic and gets it. I hate to agree with Andrew. I don't hate to agree with you per se, but I hate to agree with your statement because I hate Logan Paul very much. But the dude is talented. What a shame. Sorry. No, it's a shame because I'm like, he shouldn't be talented, and because he's like Andrew said, he's a sleazeball.
He gets it. We talk about it. We talk about it, about this and about him every single time he has a match. He tends to have one of the best performances of the night every single time. He understands it. The guy cuts a better promo than 95% of the roster. And you could throw in AEW in there as well. He's super. He gets heat. I was gonna say he's super over. I mean, he's super over as a heel because naturally he's somebody you just want to hate. It works perfectly.
I mean, I have to say this, in his time as a social media star, I think it did help him, like to really, again, really get like how to roast people and how to like tune into people, and he just gets the product. He really does. And like I said, what a shame. I hate like rooting for a man that sucks and like morally.
and the scary thing is he's only 29 years old. Like, you know, LA Knight, I think it's like 40. You know, it's like, you know, like some he's 41. He's gonna be 42 in November. Some wrestlers don't start peaking, like, you know, like Roman Reigns, like, you know, he started like finally, like, you know, figuring it out. He was in his late 30s already, you know? Like, you know, how many more good years does Logan Paul have? Like the sky is the limit for him.
I know, that's what sucks.
He is a tremendous professional wrestler. Like, you know, I thought the match was good. You know, it wasn't like knocking my socks off. And then Logan Paul did that springboard moonsault out of nowhere. I was stunned by that. It was so freaking good.
I got off my seat for that one.
You know what I think it is with him? So because he had something to prove, right? Like that he didn't like, he obviously, you know, he's again used to social media stuff, and he wasn't, I don't necessarily know if this definitely was a passion of his, no doubt about it, but he kind of came into it like a little bit later, and maybe this wasn't like his first thing, like, oh, I want to do this in my life. But I think he had more to prove, and he did. Like, you know, I think he really worked hard to get to where he is and to get the respect from people. And he's athletic.
Yeah. And ultimately, it was just a really fun match. You know, like Logan Paul matches very rarely miss. I thought like WrestleMania Triple Threat was like the first time that like a Logan Paul match just wasn't. I'm sorry, the Royal Rumble match against Kevin Owens was like the first Logan Paul match that was just kind of like, you know, I've gotten so used to him. I think he's only had like 15 matches in his career. Like I've gotten so used to him being so damn good that when he had kind of like just a decent match against Kevin Owens, I was like, oh, that's a bummer, because like, you know, I kind of find myself looking forward to Logan Paul matches now.
Yeah. And he only had 2 title defenses, and you know, sometimes it's the small things, sometimes it's the things he says in the matches. Even like this is nothing, but even on SmackDown when LA Knight stole his truck and, you know, Logan Paul's running after him, then he stops and looks at the camera and he says, you know, isn't that illegal? Isn't this a crime type of thing? Like it's the small things. That's why I'm like, actually, yeah, that's true. It is in a way. He gets it. He gets it. And at 29 years old, who just really started doing it 2 years ago.
Yes.
That's scary.
That's scary. Yeah. That's really scary. When they just get it and they're like, they have no, like, not that they, again, a passion of his clearly, but like a long time passion, I'm thinking not, you know, maybe, but like, maybe. I don't think he thought this is like his end goal. And then no, at all.
And mind you, he has a billion other things going on in his life right now too.
Yes. But you know, like I just looked it up. Tonight was his 15th match.
Damn.
His 15th match, and they're almost every one of them, except for like I think he had like one match on SmackDown, has been on pay-per-view in big moments. You know, Seth Rollins at WrestleMania is like his like 5th match ever, and that was like one of the better matches on that show. It was like, this guy he's so good, you know, and like you said, like he totally understands. Like he gets this product, he gets this genre. Like when he first came in, and the crowd immediately started booing him, and it was like, that was like under Vince, and they were like, "Oh, just go out there and just be a babyface anyway." You could tell that he was like coming out of his skin. Like he was just like he wanted to just his natural instinct was to heal on the crowd, and
100%.
he basically was told you can't do that. Like like you have to just stay a babyface because you're a star. And then he finally said to somebody, like, he has some pull. He's just like,
Oh, for sure.
this is stupid. Like, if they're heckling me and I'm coming out looking like a total dope here. Like, this is a guy with like, potentially like $1 billion empire on his hands. He's not going to compromise himself because Vince McMahon wants him to play a face and make himself look stupid.
No,
he had the foresight to say, I need to be a bad guy. And that's worked out.
Too. He had the leverage because they need those people just as much as they need them. Like Andrew Ellis, even Bad Bunny, for example. Like nobody wants to piss off the celebrity, so it's like,
especially a celebrity that can bring you some real attention.
Absolutely, and that's the thing. It's like he's smart. Obviously, he's very smart and defending himself and advocating for himself and saying like, this is not the direction I want to go in. And you can clearly tell very quickly what would work for him. Obviously,
no, it's it'll be interesting to see what they end up doing with him moving forward without a title. LA Knight, I think there's he's finally getting his time. It's his first title reign. Might last a while. We'll see who they throw him against. But Logan Paul is the interesting one for me. Is he going to become more full-time? Is he going to show up just once a month, which is essentially what he's kind of been doing lately? I don't know.
Show up in the big towns and things like that. Yeah. He's a big town kind of guy. That's his gig. But and again, like, LA Knight, he's not a new wrestler. He's gonna, like I said, he's gonna be 42 in November, but age is really, like, in professional wrestling, age is just a number. Like, look at AJ Styles, he's closer to like, look at Adam Copeland,
Rey Mysterio.
Rey Mysterio, my God, he's like ageless. And the fact that he wears a mask too, like, really, like you would never know his age. Never. You would never guess that he's in his 50s.
Damian Priest is 41. I just looked it up. He's going to be 42 in September.
What? Really?
Wow.
Yeah.
He looks very young. He really does. I was not expecting. And not that, again, like 40 is, to me, 40 is still young in my opinion. I still feel like you're young. But
like Rey Mysterio, he's going to turn 50 in December.
Yeah,
he started wrestling in 1989. You would never know that. Not in a million years.
No, you don't look at that man and go, "Oh, what happened to you?"
If you know nothing about his history, he's just a regular guy.
No,
he's So again, age just like I like to see like what they do with him, and can he maintain the momentum?
Can he get over? Can he get over?
Yeah, I hope he stays over, brother.
Andrew, you don't look 44 at all. Nope. Sorry.
No. Sorry, I just saw the comment.
Sorry, I just saw the comment.
44. I thought he was 45.
Oh my God.
I remember I was when I was in Aruba with my dad years and years ago.
Here we go.
There was like one of these, like, my dad could be kind of, little nasty sometimes if he doesn't get his way. And there was like something going on with like a waiter or something like that. And then dad was like trying to like, sweet talk him into something, but he was like insulting him, and the guy didn't really realize it. And dad's like, "How old are you?" And the guy's like, "Oh, I'm 68." He goes, "Oh, really? I thought you were 69." It's like, I always think of that every time I do that joke now. I'm like, I was thinking of Aruba.
It's a great dad joke.
Yeah, it's a good dad joke.
It's pretty good. Now, let's. Oh, you know what? I know what I was supposed to do before I got on the show was plug in my computer and get my charger. Whoops, I gotta go do that. But right. I'll leave you two to talk about Nia Jax and Bayley.
All right. So next match,
I'll be back.
We got this. So next match, Nia Jax finally gets the win versus Bayley. I really thought we'd kind of get a cash in. I wasn't sure what we were going to get. At one point, I thought Bayley wins, then we get the cash in with Tiffany. And then I thought, no, Tiffany just got a new briefcase. They're going to want to merchandise that a little bit more and sell it a little bit more.
Right.
So they'll wait on it. Right decision, Victoria, you think?
Yes, I agree. I think so. Okay, can you get out of here? Can you go away? You're annoying. I think it was the right decision. Play it out a little bit longer, you know? And honestly, talk about like resurgence in Nia Jax too, because this is somebody who again wasn't in the company a few months ago, comes back, and it just had like this whole renaissance now of a what? About a year ago. Okay, sorry. My timeline's a little bit different because again, I have, children, all right? Sure.
Priorities.
Anywho. But
yeah,
no, I think it was the right call. Don't have to do the cash in. Save it for something else. SummerSlam's already a big enough event as it is. And with all the other title changes and everything like that, it might have been don't get me wrong. If it happened, I wouldn't have been disappointed with it. I still think it would have been exciting. I think it would have been a nice outcome. But I think this is the right choice just to hold it off a little bit longer and really capitalize on it. So really funny though, I was watching the post show with Nia and Tiffany. So awkward. Like it was the most awkward thing I've ever seen because like, they're coming out and they're doing it wasn't on them either. It wasn't Nia or Tiffany, but like people interviewing them were like, so how does it feel to win? And how does it feel to whatever? And it was just like, well, of course it feels good to win. Like every question had to do with the fact of like, how does it feel to win? And how does it feel that like this moment, she's just kind of like, Nia's like repeating herself, obviously, because she's like, well, it feels good. Like this is a great opportunity, a great journey. And she actually did mention, believe it or not, in the post show though, she did mention being under Triple H and how grateful she is to be under his reign and under his leadership because she just really feels like that she did get to grow and that she's very grateful for her opportunities here. She says, I feel like a totally different person. So that was like the one takeaway that I really got out of the post show, other than the whole like
it feels good to be winning.
Yeah. Like, yes, of course it feels good to win. Mike, who was that baseball interviewer that interviewed Judge? No, not Judge. It interviewed Jeter.
Kim Jones.
Kim Jones, yeah. It was like, how does it feel to get your like 100th home run or whatever? And it's like, good. Like, what else is supposed to feel?
I don't know, I'm sad about it. I'm
sad about it. Quite frankly, I'm really unhappy that I won. But
how does that loss feel?
No, I think this was a strong match too. I think it was just really, really good. I am very much enjoying Nia Jax. I truly, truly am. Lately, she wasn't my favorite when she was in the company like years ago. She really wasn't. I feel like, but again, to no fault of her own. I think it was just they didn't know what to do with her, and they really didn't know how to utilize her. And there were so many things that like I think, which was weird to me because as a fan, and I think as like casual fans or not even like fans like we are watching the product and everything, but it's like there's so many things you could do with her and it just wasn't clicking at the time, but now it really is clicking. And she kind of had like waves for me. Like it was like, okay, this is working, this is not working. But now I think it's again that confidence factor, like just like Liv has that confidence now. I think Nia really has that confidence too. I mean, she had a little bit more, again, leverage, so to speak, because of who she's related to and with their family that she's from, but she took a chance in coming back, and I think she really now it's like skyrocketing, and it's awesome.
Well, she's being used in a way that is perfect for
Makes
her.
Sense.
Like she's a monster. Like you got to book her like a monster.
Got to book her like a monster, but they weren't doing that.
No, they weren't actually. They made it like a really like big point to like talk about like the history between like Bayley and Nia Jax and how their rivalry's been going on for the better part of like a decade.
Yeah.
I love that they're not pretending like things in NXT just happened and they don't count anymore. I really like that they mentioned NXT Takeover London from like 2015, and then I was like, hey, wait a minute, I recapped that show, so I like it was fun for me to like I put a link to the NXT Takeover London recap in the SummerSlam recap. Now it kind of got me like down this rabbit hole of like what like read my thoughts column of this. This was like my first time seeing Nia Jax. I was not like a regular viewer of NXT, but I would recap the takeovers every now and then. I think think we had somebody else recapping NXT at the time. It was that Jason kid, I think.
Yeah, I think so.
So it goes. I'll just read you what I wrote about Nia Jax back then. I'm really impressed by Nia Jax. She's a little rough around the edges, but that size and strength advantage should get her far. WWE really missed the boat with Awesome Kong/Karma. So this is the next best thing. I'm sure she'll be up on the main roster in some capacity, probably by next summer or fall. Who was right about that? She could be a force to be reckoned with if they don't compromise her character or flatten her out by calling her fat or something equally as distasteful.
Yeah, that's
exactly what Vince did. It's exactly what he did. Remember, what was it with, like, you know, they did that horrible WrestleMania angle with Nia Jax and Alexa Bliss, where Alexa was like, "You're fat. You don't look like every other girl."
Oh god.
Yeah, it was horrible.
That was such garbage. And then, like, when she won the title, they wanted it to be like, "Oh, the vindication, the fat ugly girl wins." It's like, that's what we're supposed to think, right? You know, so I said, that's exactly what they're doing with Neville and his ears, you know, like that. So, you know, this is the Nia Jax that I guess I saw potential in, you know, almost 10 years ago, you know, from this NXT takeover match. You know, she's got that. They're using, again, just like with Liv Morgan, how Liv Morgan was floundering, you know, trying to, like, you know, do what Vince wanted her to do and be something that she's not. Same thing with Nia Jax here. She is actually being booked in a way that makes sense for her, and they're not asking her to do, like, you know, just be another person. You know, she's a gigantic monster. No, I don't mean gigantic, like, she's just, you know, she's a big woman. Like, you know, like Bayley comes up to her chest here. She's a very she's an intimidating presence.
She
you know,
prides herself in being a curvy woman, and that's fine. You know, there's one thing.
I'm not talking about curves. Yeah,
I'm just saying, like, no, I know you talk about, like, her stature and everything, but what I'm saying is like what's happening now versus what was happening then. It's like they were using her as, like, this monster again, like calling her fat and, like, exploiting her, like, body and everything like that. But now it's just like, yes, she's a larger woman, but it's like, but she's using as that monster type. But it's like more of like I'm proud of who I am, and I'm you know, this beautiful woman and whatever, and this confident woman. They were not utilizing her like that. Like, they were making her, like, back then it was like, oh my god, Alexa Bliss, like, told me I'm fat. Like, obviously, like, if that ever happened in real life, she could just backhand her and, like, you know, she
would be
down, you know. But, like, the fact that even Alexa Bliss had even, like, a little bit of, like, anything towards Nia Jax at the time was just comical. So you know, now that they're utilizing her properly, and this is her, actually, she said it tonight, it's her first SummerSlam. So that was great too, you know, it's her first SummerSlam match.
I was actually shocked by that.
Yeah, I never realized that either, which I was like, oh yeah, that makes sense. Okay.
Yeah, so. But you know, it's been a, you know, long time coming, you know, like really once she got, she's like one of those people that, like, when she got called up to the main roster, it was like almost like the kiss of death for her career. And that they just started booking her just like a regular person. You know, she was just like kind of a stepping stone. It's like, oh, we'll have somebody go out and beat the big woman tonight, you know, and that'll put them over. You know, and then when the COVID thing happened and she didn't want to get vaccinated, they kind of, you know, they let her go because they couldn't do anything with her at the time. She's been vindicated on every level since then. She's come back, you know, in less than one calendar year. I think she came back at, like, the end of September or October last year.
I don't remember.
This was a hell of a culmination here. You know, she's had some great stuff going on. She's looked dominant throughout. They've done that slow build with her. They made her look dominant in the Rumble. She had a really good feud with Becky Lynch leading, which they've never done before. You know, she broke her face and then they never went back to it again. It's like, God, like, how did you not strike while the iron was hot on that? First time after breaking Becky Lynch's face, 5 years later, they're having a great series of matches. She had the match against Rhea Ripley in Australia. She's had parts where she looked dominant, and this summer has been tremendous for her with the Queen of the Ring and that awesome spot with crushing Lyra Valkyria with that Annihilator. And then tonight, dominant. But, like, Bayley was like, I love that they didn't, like, make Bayley just like it wasn't like Sami Zayn losing the title, where Zayn had a few moments of hope, but mostly he got dominated because this time Bron Breakker was taking him seriously. That was the point of this match. Bron didn't take him seriously last time. Now he did, and he killed him. You know, Bayley is a serious star. You know, they went out of their way to really, really make her big. And she, you know, she got a couple of really good shots on Nia Jax. She hit a back suplex on her. It wasn't like Bayley just went there and got her butt kicked and that was the end. It took two she kicked out of an Annihilator and then she had to take two in order to stay down. Everybody came out of this looking strong, but Nia Jax, definitely, and again, like even Nia Jax had to, the story is that she, maneuvered with Tiffany Stratton to kind of distract Bayley, and that's how ultimately they get the win. So it keeps Bayley strong. Nia Jax culminates a really great comeback story, and all the criticisms of she's reckless and this and that, which they played into the storyline, which was great, which really added a little extra spice to it. She hasn't injured anybody in quite a long time, and she's looking very comfortable. You know why she hasn't injured anybody? Because she's not being asked to do stuff that's inappropriate for somebody, like her. So makes sense.
She's not getting out of her comfort zone in that sense.
Right. It's like, remember like with Damian Priest when he first came up and Vince wanted him to be like, the springboard, agile, big man.
Yeah.
He kept getting hurt. Now he doesn't. Now he rarely does any of that crap. And actually, the last time he tried to do some kind of flip, it turned out terribly for him at that Clash at the Castle where he gets his foot tied in the ropes, almost like
out of place. Everyone has their strengths. Like
just because you can, it's like I'm sure the Big Show could have done a cross body block, but did the Big Show ever really need to do a cross body block? I remember he used to do a missile drop kick in WCW.
Yeah.
It's like, why would you ever have the Big Show or the Giant do a missile drop kick? That's stay in your lane.
Yeah, it doesn't suit him.
No.
But congratulations to her. Final thing before we move on.
You got a final thing, Roy? I'm good. I said my piece.
Final thing before we move on. Ultimately, later down the road, Tiffany cashes in on her.
Yes, I think so.
Okay.
I think so.
Of course.
Yeah.
I think it just adds to that, like, ooh, we're besties, and then I'm going to turn on you.
Oh yeah. And Nia Jax actually is, if you follow some of her stuff, like, everybody loves that thing from the Thunderdome with my whole, like she's actually kind of funny.
She is funny. She is.
I could imagine like her and Tiffany, because Tiffany is funny in her own right. I could imagine her and Tiffany kind of having that dynamic that Chris Jericho and Kevin Owens had with the best friends,
Yeah.
Like having that kind of dynamic, and then when the turn happens, it's going to be a big deal.
Yeah, they made it very known tonight too. Again, in like the post show, like, well, at least the two of them. Again, credit to both of them because the interviewers were horrible. But
some of those people that they have asked questions at these press conferences, they're such marks.
It was horrible.
But the
two of them were definitely playing very much into their best friends and how like they're going to help each other out. They're going to look out for each other. So down the line, we know what's happening, that Tiffy's going to betray Nia, which is going to be good. It's going to be awesome.
Perhaps. Yeah.
It'll make for some good television or
Yes.
some good streaming if it happens on
Yes.
Indeed.
All right.
Well, this next match is one that this was the match that I was looking forward to the most on this show. Drew McIntyre versus CM Punk with Seth frickin' Rollins as the special guest referee. This, Victoria. So full disclosure, I've seen Breaking Bad. I've watched that show twice through, but Victoria's never seen it before, and now we're kind of watching. I haven't watched Breaking Bad in a while, and so like as I watch Victoria, it's like some of these things, it's like I'm seeing it again for the first time because it's been a while since I've seen the show, and we keep talking about all these layers of the characters, like Walter and Jesse and Hank and Skyler and Gus Spring and Hector Salamanca and all and just how everything with them is like, it's not black and white, that like there's layers to them, and sometimes you love them and you can kind of see why they're doing the thing that they're doing, and then sometimes you're like, oh, you are such a bad person, how dare you. CM Punk, really like this is not like that classic heel versus face dynamic here. CM Punk is very much, a face, but then he does some kind of scummy things sometimes, like they're not running from his history. And I was watching this, and it's kind of like, this whole rivalry is about black. It's nothing's black and white. Like you can hate Drew McIntyre all you want, but I remember reading like in Have a Nice Day, by McFoley, back in the day, came out in like 99. That book was that book came out, where he said, somebody told him that the best heels cut promos and they're telling the truth, but people just hate them. And that's Drew McIntyre. It's like you can kind of like get on board with some of the things that Drew McIntyre said, and even Seth Rollins about CM Punk and about being screwed and this and that. And then CM Punk comes out and he plays to the fans. But then tonight, during this match, he becomes like so irate and angry and so not a face. He was just kind of acting like a total jerk. He had the match won, and then he ultimately screwed himself. And so of course we're going to get another rematch with this, and we'll have something with Seth Rollins where he's involved as well in the match. I actually think it's going to culminate at Bad Blood in October with a triple threat Hell in a Cell match, which would be like the 26th anniversary of the original
20 from 97. I'm not the best at math. 27 years, I suppose.
Yeah, I guess so. Yeah, 27 years. It's on the anniversary of the very first Hell in a Cell. But this is not a storyline where it's just so cut and dry. Punk's a good guy and he got screwed. No, it's like Punk screwed himself tonight. And they made a point to say, I hate to say it, but Punk really, Punk by being a total idiot and jerk in this match cost himself the match. I thought this was, I've been seeing some negativity about this. Go figure. I gotta say off of X. I thought the storytelling in this was great. People were mad about all the Rollins involvement. I thought Seth Rollins played his part really well in this.
God.
I thought CM Punk and Drew did enough. I wanted to see more. I was actually expecting to have some bloodshed in this because the angle kind of built where it kind of needed it, but they did that at SmackDown, I suppose. But if you think of this as like the first chapter in probably what's going to be a couple match feud, this was a very good first chapter. Let's go. Well, who wants to take the reins first and talk about this? I'm sorry. I talked quite a bit about it. But I really like this.
I'll let Victoria go first.
Oh, thanks, Roy. So, okay. How do I say this? So obviously the match was amazing. I'm a little shocked, Mike, too, that there's such negativity around it. What's interesting about this storyline too, I almost wonder, do they have conversations with one another saying we're going to go for low blows, because I feel like if Drew and Punk were doing the things that they were doing, because they get pretty personal, right? I feel like I would actually even though we discussed it, I would actually still be mad at the other person. And I almost wonder if they have these discussions and they play into it, because it's to me, it's just so genuine and so, hi, Mohamed, right? I think that's.
Yep.
Okay. Just
Hey, there you are.
Hello. I feel like I feel like I don't know. I feel like they're doing a really, really, really good job of getting so personal, but bringing it into the matches and getting really, really angry and heated. And Mike, like you said, they're Punk, especially not doing such face things. It's getting genuinely genuine anger and genuine Drew's sinister. He's staying in character during those post shows and those interviews. He was making fun of CM Punk's being straight edge again tonight, and talking about and doing that, taunting the crowd with the bracelet and with AJ Lee and his family, whatever. So it's just I don't know. I feel like if that were me, I would genuinely hate that individual, because they're getting they're going so low. It's just crazy to me. It just works. So it's mind-boggling to me that people are even being negative about it. I just can't imagine it, because this isn't your typical.
You really can't imagine that.
No, I know. I guess I can, but it's just not your typical feud. It's just not. It really, really is more complex than that, and they're bringing in so much, like you said, history into it.
Yeah.
And
it feels like they really hate each other. When
saying.
Drew McIntyre posted that picture of him and Jack Perry, That was pretty
But that's what I'm
stiff.
saying. I feel like they actually they have to be the greatest actors in the world then if they don't have real animosity towards one another. I genuinely believe that.
I think they do have animosity towards each other.
That's what
I
I'm
really
saying.
do.
I think you have to, because you can't get that personal with somebody and not expect them to be like, oh, I know we were going to talk jokes about each other. I know we were going to say these things, but it's like, man, you took it a little too far. Who knows? Or maybe that's their goal. Maybe they're like, no, we want to get so mad at each other that we do bring it into this.
Well, I mean, look, if Matt Hardy and Edge had about as bad a falling out from being friends to bitter enemies in real life, and it cost Matt Hardy his job.
True.
Matt was dating Lita, and then he discovered that Lita was cheating on him with Edge in real life.
Yeah.
And it cost Matt Hardy his job. I mean, like, how hard, like, what a horrible time in his life, only for him to come back, and they actually had, like, a pretty decent feud, and neither of them murdered each other in the ring. So that was a plus. Some of the best storylines are the ones that have those shades of gray, where it's like there are some real feelings of bitterness here, but we can do business. We can definitely turn this into some business.
Roy, what do you think?
Yeah, no, like 1,000%, I agree. And those are usually the feuds that draw the most money, that make the most money. I think they've done a great job in terms of just kind of blurring the lines between fiction and reality, what's fake and what isn't. That Jack Perry picture, that alone, for anyone that follows AEW or knows of, AEW will know what that picture, means.
Yeah.
But they've done a great job. Going back to CM Punk posting his videos of watching, of Drew McIntyre posting his videos, watching CM Punk lose and this and that. It's been fun. This was a good match. I enjoyed it. Seth wasn't the focal point. He wasn't the center of attention. They teased the final of 1997, that SummerSlam ending between Brett and Shawn and Taker, where Seth almost hit CM Punk with the chair, similar to how when Shawn hit the Undertaker with the chair in 97.
Right. Yeah, that was a great callback.
Very, very good one. And the match itself was good. Emotions, as Victoria was saying, emotions got the best of CM Punk. It was that bracelet. And then to have Drew win, and Drew still has that bracelet, there's a lot. I mean, we're still going to have another CM Punk, Drew McIntyre match. We're going to get Drew McIntyre and Seth. We're going to get Seth and CM Punk. We're going to get a triple threat match. We have all of this yet to come. And Mike, as you mentioned, this is just chapter 1. It's a very good start to the book.
Yeah. Yeah, it really is. And actually, an interesting, facts too, it's like, CM Punk, this was his first televised singles match
in 10 years.
Since January 20th, 2014, the week before he walked out.
Ow.
When he walked out in Cleveland, by the way.
Oh.
And his last televised singles match was against Billy Gunn.
Wow.
Billy Gunn, what a career that guy's had. He's still going. He's like 60-something years old. He's still going at like a high level, and he looks great.
He looks amazing, yeah.
And the last televised singles match he had on pay-per-view was against Ryback.
Oh my God, Ryback. You're dead.
You're dead. Yeah, beat him at Battleground or something like that.
I think I was at that pay-per-view.
Oh man.
Are you really?
I think I was at that one.
So the streak is over, Roy.
I think so.
It was in but this one says that it was in Buffalo.
Okay, no, I wasn't at that one. Never mind. Because I was at a Battleground, and I guess it was either that year or the year before or something. So
okay, got you.
That's why. But
yes, sir. Yeah. So I mean, it's good that he got out of this match unscathed. We're happy that Punk.
Yes.
Yeah. Right.
Real quick, like you mentioned, Triple H mentioned about Jacob Fatu that he was banged up.
Mm-hmm.
Like that's like the tip. I just saw this video a few moments ago that he was helped to the back by referee. He could barely put any weight on his leg. It's like, I wonder if like banged up is the term for like he's injured and we don't know how bad it is yet. It's like, is it, because it could be anything from a bone bruise or a torn meniscus. Is it a knee injury that he could work through? Is this a deep bone bruise? or is he really screwed and he's going to be out for a while? Yeah, I think the news coming out in the next like day or two about Jacob Fatu is going to be pretty important. So we got to keep our eye on that. I'm bummed about that because this guy is so freaking good. He's a superstar.
He's the next big guy coming out of the bloodline, more than Solo, more than Tongaloa, more than Tamatonga, more than anybody, and they've done a great job building him up.
Right.
He's been the guy in the bloodline since showing up. Hopefully he's good, and it's just like, he's out for a week or two and just a bruise.
Here's hoping. Because even like in the replay, you can kind of like when he landed, you could see his shin hit the edge of that table. Hopefully it's okay.
Yeah.
Guess Andrew Elder says get Hikola in there fast.
They might have to.
Call the hospital.
They might have to. All right. The last match that we got to talk about here tonight is the King General Gunther versus Damian Priest again.
Gunther.
Gunther. Love that guy's theme song, by the way. It's just so great. This was, they really went out of their way to make Damian Priest look like he was on Gunther's level. But ultimately, Finn Balor wound up, screwing Damian Priest. Priest had, I think Gunther dead to rights before, Balor put Gunther's leg on the bottom rope. So that turn was really, really well done by Finn Balor. Now, is Damian Priest out of the Judgment Day, or what's going to happen with the tag titles? Because Finn and JD are there. Is JD also out? Is Carlito out? Are Finn and Dom and everybody going to be just forming a new Judgment Day, and Damian Priest and Rhea Ripley are going to be doing something else?
Civil War Judgment Day.
Yeah, maybe we have a War Games with the Judgment Day here.
I think I don't know. I think there's that theme of the Civil War going on here.
Yeah, but man, a lot of stuff coming out of this. On top of Gunther, who is not your prototypical, WWE star that they build shows around, becoming the World Heavyweight Champion. Bold move. I love it. That's why you have that gigantic Intercontinental title reign to build something like this. I thought it was perfect. What do you guys think?
Ken, I love the match. I really, really enjoyed it. It was hard hitting. Probably Damian Priest's best match as a champion, I want to say. I think that's fair to say. They did well. Even though Priest lost the title, he came out of it looking strong. You could say Finn Balor cost him the belt. I'm just curious to see if Gunther, not match-wise, but character-wise, promo-wise, can he carry Raw? Because Damian Priest, all the credit in the world, I don't think he was great as champion. I'm hoping we get something better from Gunther, but can he cut the promos? Can he lead Raw? It's a 3-hour show. It's not easy. He's going to be the face of those 3 hours. But as for the match itself, I loved it. I enjoyed it. A little surprising, Ludwig Kaiser wasn't out there to celebrate with them. But all things considered, this was solid, as good of a match as you could really possibly expect out of two big guys like this. But I'm happy with it. And the right man won.
For sure. Vic.
So I actually only saw part of this. I'm pretty sure like Graceanne needed something during that time, because I'm actually having trouble kind of remembering certain things. But I think it was wise for Gunther to win. I think into answer to Roy, I think it's going to be like a wait and see with Gunther to see what he can do when he's on Raw. So, can he maintain the sustainability? We'll have to see. I'm not really sure yet. I feel like he definitely has the potential to, though. I feel like I don't feel like I don't think he's going to like crash and burn, but I don't know how long he'll be able to sustain it.
Mm-hmm.
It could be, but I'm happy. I thought,
I think he'll actually do a great job. His promos, on Raw have really improved quite a bit. He's a lot easier to understand now. And he's crafty enough, and they help him out with his promos enough where he always has that one line that really, really upsets the audience, and leads to kind of a hot moment in the promo. Like when he starts ripping on people, because yet again the best heels always say something that's kind of true, and he's big on that. So look, Gunther is going to do wonders for this world title. He's a brilliant wrestler. I've never seen the guy have a bad match. Never. And there's a plethora of people on Raw that he can have a killer match with, again, Damian Priest, decent, some middling matches as champion. I think sometimes he did a little too much. I think the moment was a little bigger than he was anticipating, and he sometimes had trouble, again, not a knock on him, he's a great performer, but he sometimes had trouble, living up to it. I think now that he's had a taste of it, I think when he eventually does get a second reign, I think he should get a second reign. I think he deserves it and has earned it. I think he'll be a lot smoother the next time. I think he'll learn from the mistakes that he made in this one and be better off. But for now, Gunther having the title means more awesome, strong, televised matches on Raw. There's a lot more, there's just gonna be a lot more solid wrestling. It's gonna set the tone for Raw. It's like Raw is gonna be like the wrestling brand. There's gonna be a lot of civil war, but everybody's gonna be having good matches. Finn Balor is a great performer. Damian Priest is great when he doesn't have too much pressure on him. You have Big Bronson Reed, you have Bron Breakker, you have Sami Zayn. On the women's side, you have Rhea Ripley and Liv Morgan. Like everybody's gonna be doing great stuff. Jey Uso. I think it's ultimately going to wind up being pretty damn good. But this match was awesome. And it was hard hitting. Gunther's chest was just chopped to shreds. He was gushing bleeding blood from his pec. It was crazy. I've never seen anything like that.
Sorry, I missed most of it.
Well, it's like you have three humans to take care of here.
That's true.
But it was I really like this. Roy. Oh yeah.
I said you said 3 humans. I said 4.
Oh, it's true. Yeah. Oh yeah. Well, I'm very high maintenance. Very high maintenance, that's for sure. Yeah, it's like I make a mess. I can cook. I'm really good at making eggs, and but I always leave a mess.
Always a mess.
The pans never really get cleaned up, but by me,
that counts. It's the thought that counts.
That's right. I put them in the sink though. That's
not always. Just so we're all aware.
She's so ungrateful. But yeah, I can't wait for Raw this Monday. With the fallout of this Rhea Ripley Liv Morgan thing, the fallout of Finn turning on, turning on Damian Priest, Gunther being crowned, Drew and CM Punk and Seth Rollins, the Wyatt Six will be having their debut match.
My gosh,
there's just a ton of stuff going on. Yeah, Bron Breakker. Oh my gosh. Yeah, Andrew Elder's saying that Triple H said Raw is going to be more adult oriented on Netflix. We're not talking adult, where it's going to be got to turn the screen away when my kids are coming. I don't want them to see what I'm watching here. But again,
no HLA.
God, I cannot believe that happened. But sometimes adult means just more adult theme content where it's just it's not so it's not just crafted for kids and
it's a curse word can be thrown out here and there, not that they weren't doing that, but
correct.
But if the curse word could be thrown out here and there, you have to worry about oh my gosh, forget it, somebody says a word,
you ruined the segment.
Yeah, exactly. Or even to when the crowd chants holy it, then it's you don't have to they're not bleeping it out every 2 seconds.
Correct me if I'm wrong. Didn't Priest call Dominic Mysterio a prick tonight?
Yes, he did. Yeah, he said, "Where is that prick?"
and again, the whole idea of a love triangle is not that's not a storyline. It's ready made for kids.
No.
Adult theme could be just more things that you would expect to find on a like a more adult themed show, like a storyline like that. It doesn't mean like, oh, well, I guess they're gonna be doing bra and panty matches again.
No.
No.
It's just
Nothing
that
like
like
that.
they'll probably do more with like the Liv Morgan, like Rhea stuff. Like you
More
like
more shades of gray, more
Yeah.
of like what we saw from CM Punk and Drew McIntyre tonight.
Yeah.
Mhm.
I think it's good. I cannot wait.
If blood gets involved, they're not gonna be like, like
Right,
immediately,
right.
like,
I
running
do
to them and like, oh my god, we gotta get it off their face. Like,
I do think the matches could get a little more violent for sure. I do think that blood, not all, like every show or anything like that, but like used judiciously, it's
but if it
very
happens
effective.
accidentally, they're not gonna be like and running over like
Oh, yeah.
immediately, which
Oh, they'll take care of their people, but like if they're good to go, it's like, all right, we're not going to pause the match so we can tell them off. Let's just keep going.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can't believe that like these TV deals are going into effect. Like when they announced that SmackDown was going to the USA Network, the season premiere was happening on like September 25th. I was like,
oh my god.
already?
Yeah.
That's already happening.
And so wait, when is Raw going to Netflix now? Like when is
Raw's going to
January.
Netflix in January.
January? Okay.
And their deal with the USA Network ends at the end of September.
I think I remember reading that
they did.
They had reached a deal. Yeah, they had reached an agreement to extend it.
But until that happened for like a few months, there was actually going to be a limbo for Raw. Of course, I always figured they would find a TV deal somewhere.
Yeah.
But like Netflix wasn't taking them until January. So there was going to be from like October to December, no Raw. Like Raw was going to be off television, but they made a deal with the USA Network to extend it out through the end of December. And then they go to Netflix. First Raw of the year.
How do you guys feel about that though? Yeah, Netflix.
I'm excited. I think it's going to be, it's never been done for wrestling before. And I think this is the right crew to get it done. I don't know. I don't know what to expect. Like everybody's like, oh, it's gonna be like the good old days. It's like, I don't think so. I think it's gonna be something better.
Yeah, the presentation for sure is already changing, and it's gonna probably change even more. Maybe a different set. That's just the visual aspect of it all. Then you have the content.
Right. And even Andrew's saying like, if the crowd flips people off or like, there's maybe a chant that's a little untoward, they're going to, they don't have to bleep it out then.
Yeah.
It's like they have a little more of a free reign on Netflix with that. Like, like that was so annoying. Like, if the, like, look, I don't think the crowd should be chanting like, like F you this and that, especially because there are kids there. It's just kind of like, it's just tacky to me. But I guess I'm lame because now I'm a father of 3, whatever. But I guess I kind of grew soft, but I don't like it. But I also don't like that like they blank that out and kind of ruin segments on the USA Network. And then on the very next show, like you have these people like some stupid race to New Zealand thing, and they're cursing up a storm and nothing's bleeped out. Like it's so, like why? Like this is so annoying.
That's you guys would get that often here in Canada. Very little. Not many things would be muted. Yeah, it's like when The Rock was cutting promos. I know at one point a lot of the stuff was getting bleeped out or muted in the United States, and here I was listening to everything, and then I would read the comments on X or the tweets, and people were like, "Oh, does anyone know what The Rock said?" And I'm like, but we heard it. What was muted?
Lucky Canada.
Yeah.
Just another reason why Canada is better.
You get the good stuff.
the perks of living in Canada. You get the uncensored promos by The Rock. That's the selling point. Everybody move to Canada.
All right, we're going to Canada, Roy. We're going to stay for a while.
You guys are 6 hours. You guys are like 6 hours away by car.
I know, which is weird because like there's obviously certain parts in the country that like we're closer to you than we are in certain areas. It's just so weird.
Yeah. I'm 5 hours away from Toronto, and I'm 5.5 hours away from New York. It's pretty much the same thing.
So weird.
Yeah.
It's pretty nice.
So.
Pretty nice.
All right, Roy, we're visiting you. We're gonna be coming up.
You're more than welcome anytime.
We gotta get our passports on. We have to like go to like the New York office and get our passports expedited.
Like now.
We have 2 weeks to do that. But anyway, I thought this was really an excellent show. They are set up so well for the fall. Like that's what SummerSlam does. It kind of sets the tone for the fall. And this whole thing with Judgment Day, there's so many layers to it. There's so many different pokers in the fire with just that. And then you have the stuff with the Wyatt Six going on. You have the women's titles. You got Gunther as world champion. You got Jey Uso in there somewhere. Like there's big things happening. And I thought, and on the SmackDown side of things, God, like we went long talk about the main event, which is all the possibilities. There's no stopping this company. The Red Hot.
Sky's the limit.
No, sky's the limit. Then you got the women. You mentioned the Bloodline stuff. You got Cody Rhodes as champion. Who's he going to feud with next? You have Tiffany Stratton. You have Nia Jax. There's a lot. Sky's the limit for sure. Sky's the limit for sure. And we mentioned it last year going into the fall, where it was like last year was significantly better than the year before, and this year looks like light years ahead of last year. The fall does not look to be boring in WWE land.
Yeah, I think those days of phoning it in are over.
Yeah,
it's like, oh well, everybody's watching football, so we're just gonna not try our hardest.
Oh, I hated that.
Yeah, and that's the thing with the new regime is these guys are competitive. WWE, whether it's Tony Khan or obviously Hunter, Triple H, Dana White, the guys in charge at TKO, these guys want money. They're not going to settle for mediocrity for 3, 4, 5 months up until the Rumble. So
right. Oh, and by the way, another caveat to this too with Raw moving to Netflix. Do we actually have a date for the day that they're going to Netflix yet? Because I don't exactly think that they are going to be on Monday anymore either.
No, I remember. Was it Tony? I was going to say Tony Khan. Was it Nick Khan that had stated it initially, saying, like, for the time being, it's going to be on Mondays, but there's no guarantees it's going to stay on Mondays or something?
Right. Yeah. It just says that it just beginning January 2025.
That's interesting. Oh man.
Yeah.
So a potential of like Raw being on Tuesday or something like that.
That'll be weird. I'm against that, but
but I mean, like, that's even more incentive to not phone it in though, because if they don't have any competition whatsoever throughout the year, it's a pretty good thing too.
Correct.
I don't know.
$5 billion deal with Netflix, man.
Jeez.
Raw's gonna be the A show again, I think.
I don't know, man. SmackDown's been solid.
They have.
Amazing.
SmackDown's fun. It's definitely a fun show. Yeah. As was this, by the way.
Yeah, we don't have bad jobs. This is a good gig.
No,
for a long time, the only good thing was coming on these shows and chatting with you people, like the recaps.
Oh, absolutely! Like it was only you guys that I was like
how many times did I drag my feet going to get my laptop at like 7:59 because Raw was starting. Like,
oh my god,
it's so bad. Now it's like everything's fun and it's all good. So
it's all very good.
Too much.
I'm enjoying wrestling, and I enjoy chatting with you people. So what? Again, SummerSlam review. Everybody liked it. Everybody.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, what was there not to like? And you finish off with this post show with Victoria coming on as well.
That was huge.
People missed out. They really did. Some people really missed out.
I know.
They're
lost.
They're gonna kick themselves in the morning.
They're lost. Yeah.
They're lost. Ha ha.
No. Oh God.
All right, my friends. Well, let's wrap this puppy up.
Yes.
The next show is Bash in Berlin. I don't know if that's gonna get a post show because that's like happening like 1 PM again.
Yeah, we're gonna have to see about that one.
Play that one by ear.
Yeah, we'll play it by ear. We're less than a month away. We're about 3 weeks away, I suppose, or more than 4. I'm not good at math. My math is not mathing right now, but
I never have a math brain.
Not mathing, but yeah. I mean, hopefully they get some storylines, and it's not too much of a repeat of SummerSlam by the time that happens. Yeah.
Sounds all good, right, everybody.
On that note, a big thank you to everybody who joined us. A big thank you for Mike, and a massive thank you, an even bigger thank you for Victoria for joining us tonight. I'm not going to put you guys on the spot for a live Raw. Now I'm the one that can't speak. I'm not going to put you guys on the spot. If we're going to know if we're going to have a live Raw, I'm everybody's busy.
There's so much going on.
I
I don't want to make any promises, and it's like I would love to, because I think that's going to be a very newsworthy Raw. I really do.
Yeah.
I think this.
Yeah, I would say we'll let's put it this way: if all the stars align, and we can get all of our children in bed by a certain time, then
That's the key.
That's the key. Then, so it's up to these little weirdos right here. It's up to them.
Possibly. Okay, that's fair.
So it's not. We'll give it like a what 80%, Mike, right?
Yeah, I'd say so. I think that's fair.
Because 20% could all go to hell, and and then it could also screaming.
That's fair. That is fair. That's fair. No, but as always, thank you guys. It was fun. Till next time, which might be either Monday or it might be Bash at the Bash in
Berlin. Bash at the beach.
Or I was gonna say Bash at the beach. That's
Really?
when, it's 2 a.m. It's 2 a.m. here.
Yes.
It's getting a little bit late. But third and final time, on that note, thank you everybody.
Thank you everyone.
For joining us. Until next time, take care.
Bye.
Bye everybody.
Bye.